Hi, I'm Archie Roach and you're watching Noise 11.
And we welcome you to noise11.com. Archie Roach, great to have you here, Archie.
Yeah, thank you.
And we're here to talk about the new album.
Yep.
And, you know, this is the first album after some difficult time for you. You know, losing Ruby, your wife, and also, you know, health problems as well.
It was a difficult couple of years, that's for sure.
So going back into the studio then, you know, that must have evoked a lot of memories that you'd just been through. Did you actually source a lot of what you'd just been through as lyrical content for this record? Yeah,
I think so, because, you know, I wasn't really sure. I think this is an album that you know, was a surprise for me. It just, I didn't think I was going to do another album after Ruby passed, you know. And it was thinking about the last 3 years and how that's been and you know, probably which direction, you know, we should take with another album.
So how are you feeling today?
No, pretty good.
Yeah,
pretty good. It's good.
Good to see you back in action.
Yeah.
So I guess you know, with the new album Into The Bloodstream, has it sort of reconnected you with the career then?
Yeah, it has. It's refreshed, I feel. Renewed, and also I feel a bit more free to sort of like express myself or experiment with other types of or genres, if for want of a better word, of music, and. Yeah, really, you know, just free to play what I want, you know, and just play music for music's sake, I think, yeah.
Well, I guess you've got a lot of stories to tell. It's an amazing life that you've had, you know, been difficulties, and you've written about that a lot, you know, going right back to when you were a kid leaving home with just a guitar.
Yeah.
It was literally like that, was it? That's how you walked out the door.
Yeah, it was. I was playing guitar, you know, with my foster parents, and I really loved it. I got a lot of pleasure out of just playing guitar and you know, covering songs that you just heard songs on the you know, the hit parade, or you know, the top 10 songs, or just you know. Records, old LPs that you listen to in 45s, you know. So I just love to be able to do that, and so when I left, I made sure I had my guitar with me. So basically, just guitar and not many clothes, really. Yeah.
And ended up in Sydney, I think, wasn't it?
I ended up in Sydney after a year on from leaving home, and ended up in Sydney because that's where I'd heard that my family was, not knowing my Aboriginal family, you know. But yeah, so I headed to Sydney and just hung around Sydney for a little while. Yeah.
And that's where you met Ruby.
No, I actually met Ruby in Adelaide. Mm-hmm. That was another journey, another story. But yeah, she's from South Australia, and I met her in Adelaide, and we were both, you know, street kids at the time. Yeah.
And she put you on the straight and narrow, though.
Eventually, yes, she did. Yeah.
She ironed you out.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. There's a great song on here about Ruby.
That's right. The Ruby, being South Australian, her people are what's known as the Nudgety people, the Nudgety people of the Murray River and the Coorong. And so the song is called Mulyawonk, and Mulyawonk is the water, is a river guardian, and so it's just a song. Where the Mulyawonk, or the river guardian, is calling Ruby back to the river. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And when was that song written?
It was. This song was actually written probably about 10 years ago, really. Mm-hmm. So we'd grab some songs from that I'd written a little while back, but never made it onto albums. Were demoed, but never made it onto other albums, and that was one of the songs. And Craig Pilkington, who produced this album, he did those demos, and he just brought it up one time. There's a couple of songs here, and I'd almost forgotten that song actually, but when he played it to me again, I said, "Wow, it's amazing." I think it means so much more today than it did when I wrote it. Since Ruby's passing, yeah.
So Craig's job, I guess, was to go back through the vault, was it, and see what was there?
Well, yeah, we did grab a few songs that were on the shelf, so to speak, had been shelved, and for something else, and that one in particular was one song, yeah.
And then did you consciously then sit down and write for this record?
Yeah, we sat down and started to write, started to think of songs, and songs like Top of the Hill, Long Way to the Top of the Hill. One song I wrote along with Paul called We Won't Cry.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we started to we had some direction of which way we wanted to go with this album.
And that Paul you refer to there is Paul Kelly.
Paul Kelly, of course.
You've been associated with for, I guess, it must be nearly 25 years now.
Oh, many years. It was Paul that got me into the business. Helped me with my first album.
That's right. He produced Charcoal Road, didn't he?
Charcoal Lane. Paul and the great Steve Connolly as well. He's guitarist in the Messengers.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go back a long way, me and Paul.
Yeah. And there's another track on the album which is co-written with Paul and his nephew Dan Kelly.
Well, that's right. We both had, I was stuck a little bit with We Won't Cry, and he helped us sort of finish that off. But then he said, I have a song myself which deals with a similar theme as We Won't Cry. But someone's by your side, and he sang it, and I said, oh well, yeah. And he said, well, yeah. We said, if you want, you can use this song if you want, or if you don't. But we decided to use it, yeah.
In the cover notes, you talk about working with the pain on the record.
Yeah.
Tell us what you meant by that.
Well, I think it's more like working through the pain. Sometimes, I think when I got sick, it had a lot to do with holding on to certain. When I mean pain, I mean, emotional and tragedy in your life that you've sort of like kept inside and managed to. So, sometimes you can let go of some of that pain, and others it'll just be there forever. You can't really. So the best way is to work through it and deal with it. And actually I found that you can actually use it positively. And that's what this album is about. I channeled that pain, but trying to think about how to overcome, and deal with that pain in a more positive sense. And that's what this album, I think, talks about, yeah.
Well, I guess which brings us to the subject of Song to Sing, which because it's almost a gospel song, isn't it?
It is. Well, that's what we. I think that's what we decided where we wanted to go with, sort of a gospel, a soul feel, and it's because gospel music was something that I love to listen to. Not so much for, I suppose, it was just about how you made you feel. It made me feel good, gospel music. I suppose it's like saying blues or jazz. Gospel is another genre. Yeah.
There's another track on here that I'd like to talk about, Big Black Train.
Yes.
And that recalls Johnny Cash to me. Were you a Johnny Cash fan? Did you listen to
it?
Yeah,
Johnny Cash. A big fan of Johnny Cash. I just loved his, his songs and how he sang, about, certain subjects. And Big Black Train, I think, I wanted to do a train song, but it came out the way it did. I don't know. I wasn't expecting to write that type of song about a train, more like a warning or a train you wouldn't really want to get on. Yeah.
Mm. You've had a remarkable music career, toured the world,
Yeah.
played with some greats, Bob Dylan.
Amazing. I've been, you feel privileged. Playing, or opening on stage, being the opening act for acts like Bob Dylan, Joan Armatrading, oh gosh,
Like Patti Smith, no?
Patti Smith, Tracy Chapman, others, Paul Cully, and it's just, I know you feel, you feel privileged that you're able to do that, and that people at least think that much of, or at least think of you when they're looking for someone to open for them, the opening act, and then it's you feel rather humble. Yeah.
I guess when you're performing in Australia, you must be in somewhat of a comfort zone because you know the audience know you. What's it like when you're on the other side of the planet and you're looking out into an audience of people who've never seen you before?
Yeah, so it's a little different, especially when you go to places where English isn't the first language, like in Europe or somewhere, and because I like to talk about my music. Each song, before a song, I like to tell the story behind that song. And sometimes, it's just you're not really able to do that because they got very little English, so you've got to explain it as best you can with very little words and sing the song. So, yeah, it can be a little different. But, some people have heard me now, obviously, especially in England and other places, and they know my music. So a little better received when I first went to England. Because people were a bit unsure. I remember playing for Robin Hitchcock, opening for Robin Hitchcock and the Egyptians in England, and they were more or less his crowd. And we got up and played, and we'd sing the first song and you couldn't hear anything except crickets or something chirping. So it was very, and I remember my guitar saying, Archie, why don't you play something they like? I said, oh, okay. But yeah, it can be strange, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's the new album from Archie Roach. It's called Into the Bloodstream. And Archie, it's great to hear the story. Thank you for coming in here to Noise 11.
No, thank you.